Welcome into Odds Checker MLB Friday Breakdown. John Laghezza. I am Drew Martin. We got a 14-game Friday slate. John, happy Friday to you. Welcome in, buddy.
Oh, man, this just might be my favorite time of week, Drew. It's so good to see you. I mean, it's good to actually talk to you in person. The rest of the week, I just stalk you on social media without you knowing. So it's good to see you while you know that I'm watching you. Hi.
Oh, John. Hey, you're welcome to stalk me anytime, anybody out there.
All right.
And guys, if you're not checking out John's podcast, Court Stats, he's the host of it. You need to, especially if you're a degenerate. He goes over every game in depth. Check it out. Guys, we're breaking down, 4 games on the Friday night slate here. And then we're actually going to open it up to what we're noticing this season. So get into it now. First game here, we got Arizona and the New York Mets, the D-backs and the Mets here, Zach Gallen and Peterson. John, looks like Peterson and the Mets, minus 125 favorites, 7 being the total. This is a game you had circled here. What are you liking?
Yeah, I mean, I was just surprised. You know me, I am allergic to juice, not orange, the type that costs us more money than we need to spend. And I was just a bit surprised to see Gallen as the first 5 dog today. Now, granted, I do like Peterson a little bit, but man, let's look at Zach Gallen just real quick. On the career, it's 173 innings old, 2.87 ERA, a 117 whip, and that's coming back from the injury. So, you had to write off a little bit of hiccups on the way back this year. Something maybe we'll get into a little bit later. Is all the jack up in expected stats that we've seen that I've called the ex-WOBA tax, and Zach Gallen has managed to avoid that tax. He's actually gotten a bit of a refund. His ex-WOBA this year is sub 300. I mean, and you get into that profile, Drew, I really dig into all the minutia. It's the changeup, it's the curveball, and the cut fastball, something that I call him a 3-corner pitcher. And I know most people are thinking, but John, the strike zone is a rectangle and it only has 2 corners. I like to think of that center point in the middle as a 3rd corner, because oftentimes hitter look in and away and low and away, but not into the middle. And a lot of times that's where that curve drops off, and there really is an added deceptive element to that arsenal from Gallen. I just absolutely love him. We saw him go 7-0. The last time out, he went 4, gave up 4, which I know doesn't sound great, but I bring in this one from the trading floor, Drew. I think I'm going to buy the dip on this one. A lot of times, that's where I'd like to get my profits, is when people, everyone is always looking for continuation. Growth is not necessarily linear. He's a great pitcher. And again, we've seen him go 7-0. So I think he can get it. And on top of it, right, that the Mets sticks just, I mean, on a player-to-player basis, I think the Mets are very good. Most of my friends are really big Met fans, but I don't know. There are some big hiccups in the game. Check this out. Last 7 days, the Mets are in the bottom 5 in chase rate. That's over 34%. That's going to get you in trouble. They're also in the bottom 5 in hard hit rate at 34%. So that opens the door for Gallen. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Arizona bullpen, so I want to keep this one to the first 5 because that Met bullpen is very good. But I think we have the edge in pitching, and I think we could play him even with the stick. So also, I like that plus half run line. So that one is probably going to be juiced a little bit. I may stay away from that one. I may pair it up, but I will definitely have a piece of Zach Gallen at even money. He's just too good to be at even money for me, Drew.
Yeah, look at these D-backs in the first 5, like where you're going there in the first game. 3 games left here, John. Minnesota Twins, Detroit Tigers. Oh, the lowly Detroit Tigers here. John, it's been a rough go for Detroit in 2021. Skubal, the lefty, and Shoemaker, the righty, going for the Twins here. We're seeing the Twins laying about a minus 140 price tag. Looking at Odds Checker right now, total of 9. What do you like in Twins and Tigers?
All right, something also we have talked about both on the air and off is kind of a little bit of a reduction in offense. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean all offense is gone. It doesn't mean all pitchers are good. And, man, this one is just screaming gas can, Drew. I don't know how else to put it, man. Okay, let's take a look at Shoemaker so far this year. 23 innings pitched. The ERA is up near 8. The whip is up near 160. OPS is over 925. That is just atrocious. I often talk on my podcast about attack metrics, the things we like to go after. That's a check, and a check. The K rate at 13%. The walk rate at 7. We actually get 2 checks there because the K rate being low, that's a check below 15. and a single-digit K-minus walks. That's another one we like to see. He's going to have to beat them in the zone. That has not happened. His barrel rate is over 12. His home run rate is near 3 per 9. The ex-WOBA I spoke about, his this year, even with the tax, he's in trouble. It's a 4.16 expected WOBA. And, man, you know, I got into the arsenal again. I never just like to look at ERA and say he's bad. The entire arsenal is down more than a mile an hour. Now, generally, when we hit that point, 1.25 in either direction, I begin to look for kind of a change. And we've seen that. Shoemaker's been terrible. And then Scooble's somebody who I really like. I mean, he has a really nice slider, but man, I'd be lying if I said this career has not been a disaster so far. 54 innings pitched, 5.83 ERA, 1.4 WHIP, 8.77 OPS again. All of those attack metrics. The 10% walk rate on the career is bad. However, it's even worse. It's over 14 year to date. And you want to talk about a profile to run away from. Again, I often talk about elevation plus batted ball metrics. I like to take stats, Drew, and put them into baskets because you can't tell I am a big Yankee fan. We don't want to be biased, right? It's very important that we win these bets. Yeah. We're not betting them at all. It's very important to make money, more so than root for our team. So I try and be as objective as possible. I remove bias. And man, we're talking 59% fly ball, 20% barrel, 3.25 home runs per 9. I mean, that's just everything terrible. And if I could put a cherry on top of it, I mean, it's not just the starters. It's also the bullpens have been an absolute disaster. Both of them. This is last 7 days. Minnesota Twins, last 25 innings, barrel rate of 15, more than 2 home runs per 9. Not to be outdone by the Tigers. Their ERA last 7, 9.59. The WHIP over 2, 3.25 home runs per 9. I don't remember ever seeing a pitcher, bullpen matrix quite like this. I mean, you have to just stack this. This is overs. This is the DFS dream right here. I mean, you know, this one, again, I have been treading very lightly on overs, Drew. You and I have spoke about this. Always, you know, there's a reason why overs and unders are generally listed at 110. Because they're a coin flip. It's wonky, right? We and you are input guys, not output guys. I want the underlying stuff, not necessarily the results. But the over bet is on the board, and I think that is the one today. I think we get the over 9 before the first 5 is over. I also think the price itself is off. I think there's a misprice on the board, but I think we're going over 15 today. You know, so if you could find one of those books that take the progressive pay, I'm into the double digits. Yeah, I'm into
Are you into that?
Give me the dozen. Give me the dozen. Give me the Baker's dozen. Fox Bets, I know, does that.
Okay. And John, is that a bet you look for? You know, if you like this over 9 and then you can get it at 10.5 plus money on that, is that a type of bet you recommend?
Yes. Oh, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Drew. You and I are always so simpatico because you have a good nose of profit. That's why you and I get along so well professionally, and I mean personally as well, but really professionally. Yeah. That's what people are here for. And here's a great tip for people. And this is how you play things when you're playing a field, particularly one with, like progressive odds, right? If you find this game for over 13, you're going to get crazy odds. So what you do is take your R, that's your risk, and slice off a little piece and put it on 10. Slice off a little piece and put it on 11. Slice off a little piece and put it on 12. Create that bet, play with the numbers. We're in the age of fractional betting, Drew, and it's a great time to be alive, right? Where you could bet $50.47. You could bet $112.30. Yeah. You bet whatever you'd like to create the correct percentage output that we're looking for. So I would want to draw this one up that I make a guaranteed profit on the over, but leave the door open to progressively hit. Because I'll tell you, man, again, Drew, something I've heard you talk about often. You know, as a professional sports bettor, more than half the game staying in the game, right? Keeping the account funded. And this is a great way to do it. Not over-levering on a crazy outcome, but putting yourself in a good position to get a good payoff today. I really like that one. You know, again, I wouldn't just put money on 13, but I think let's start the bet at 9 and let's build it up. As far as they'll let us go, we want to take this one because we're looking at 2. This one could completely go off the rails. We could be talking about having position players pitching by the end of this one.
Oh, gosh, that's overwritten all over.
What kind of odds do you think I could get on that? I want to lay that bet today. That's my bet for the day.
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, we'd have to convince one of these guys to put out a custom line, which is coming pretty soon with the growth of this show here, John. But I like what you had to say there. You know, never bet too much, but if you're $100 bettor, maybe put 90 on the regular over 9, and then maybe $10 on the progressive odds there. So guys, we're going to break down 2 more and then open it up here. I'm actually going to head to the NL East, John. I'll get your opinion as well, man. Interested in it, like always. Eflin and Morton here. Philadelphia versus the Atlanta Braves, in front of, by the way, a full capacity crowd there in that great stadium that the ATL has, which is going to be a sight to see in itself. Yes. But we're seeing a 7.5 total with a -150 favorite here. So the market is kind of telling us runs are going to be at a premium. That always makes me look towards the underdog here, John. And the Philadelphia Phillies don't look now, but we're getting the better bullpen, the hotter lineup of late. Eflin's actually been pretty good. I mean, 17 strikeouts since his last walk 3 games ago, John. So his command is there, and it's not like Atlanta's hitting the ball. Yeah. And the fact, I love this profile, John. This is the Atlanta Braves' first home game back after a 6-game road trip. You got to kiss the wife, say hi to the kids. Your mind might not be on your first home game back. Now, I might look to bet them later in the series, but this first home game back, I like the dog here. I think the Philadelphia Phillies are really barking as +137 underdogs. Risk 100 to win 137 on the Phillies, John.
Yeah, I really like the play, and more so, I was a bit surprised that the line drew something I've told you before. I usually tell my followers and stuff. I like to do my analysis without looking at the board. Not to say I would be biased by it, but it's a good way to remove a bias. So then I look at the board, and generally the games that surprise me are the ones that I want a piece of. That's what I want a piece of. I think apples to apples, the Phillies just have the edge here. I absolutely love Zach Eflin. He's somebody I've covered at FTN, and again, I think even earlier than that on Twitter threads and stuff. People, I think they lose sometimes when pitchers make tangible changes. He started featuring that sinker after a demotion to the minor leagues. And then if you kind of take the career, arc from there, he's a totally different pitcher. And he has just been excellent. He's got 2 walks in 39 innings. I mean, that's just not anything to sneeze at. His control has been fantastic. I also had him labeled, he's a 3-corner guy. So when I put that in my analysis, that means if you check those location maps, it's corner, down low, and below. And Savant people, if you're interested in this stuff, going to the next level, aside from listening to Cork Stats, would be you go on Savant and they show you the layout of these cool little shadows of the range of where the ball is when they throw it. And you could see it. His misses are away from the zone, which is exactly what you want. Eflin's been excellent. Drew nailed it with the Atlanta offense. To be honest, I'm kind of into Charlie Morton as well. I don't really like that bullpen. So I think Philly wins. My bet here was actually the F5 under. I like this one because I think both of the starting pitchers are very good. I think Morton not as good as Eflin, although he has been the victim of some bad batted ball luck. And again, I'm just diving into all these arsenals. He was having trouble with the cut fastball. He seems to have abandoned it. So you got to look for that. Sometimes it's even inning to inning. You could see a pitcher give up a home run and then lose the ball. Now these are all stats that we could track. So I do like Morton because Philly's not really hitting. Again, I would give Philly the edge. But where I'm going with this under early is, check this out. Both of these teams are just in the tank right now. 70 WRC plus for both, exactly on the nose. Philly, 271 team blow up. Atlanta, 276. Philly K'ing 33% of the time. Atlanta walking less than 7. Both in-zone contact rates under 82. So both of these teams are pretty good on a per-player basis. I mean, listen, you got Real Muto, and those boys are really good. The same thing you said for the Braves. But this, again, something we talk about all the time, Drew. Everybody ebbs and flows, and you bring in the human element. That's why I love your analysis so much. These are people, and they're real, and we ebb and flow. We have peaks and valleys, good and bad days. So it's not always Yankees. It's not always Braves. It just doesn't work that way, and that's a square bet. Going up against the Braves today, I think, is a sharp bet. I really like that Philly call, but I'm also going to get that F5 under because it might be 0-0 after 5 because I'm not loving the offenses early, and I do like both of the pitcher profiles. Yeah,
all good points, John. I mean, I don't hate Charlie Morton either. He did have 3 walks last time out. That's something that I circled. Not that he can't regroup from that, and also left something out. the Phillies on a 4-game win streak. So the trend is your friend in investing and sports betting. So that's my best bet for the video here, guys. We got one more game wanted to break down before we open it up. 8:10 Eastern, White Sox and Royals. Rodon versus Keller. 8.5 being the total here, John. We're seeing -145, -150 here for the Sox. Rodon on the hill. We know he threw the no-hitter. He's looking good this season. Where are you going with this one, John?
Man, we could probably do an hour-long show just on this one game and all of the kind of like different theories that it opens up. You know, what are we to expect, right? Because we're early in a new season. And as people, we always, again, I mentioned continuation. Everybody always thinks everything's linear. He's been good, he's been better, he's going to be best, he's going to be great, he's going to make the Hall of Fame this year. Is that the case? No, but sometimes it is. And then Keller to the other side, right? I was speaking of Rodon. Keller to the other side is a guy, we have a very large sample of very effective pitching at the major league level. I mean, there's really no way around it. And again, it was no fluke. This is a guy who used a sinker ball very effectively. And the reason I mentioned that by name, Drew, was something I've kind of identified on the show. I've run it up the flagpole to some of the experts. The jury is still out because Major League Baseball is kind of vague about the baseball and what they've done. Maybe something we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
But Keller, his sinker, and sinkers in particular, and I'm telling people, go out there, go list the top 10 sinker throwers and go look year over year, not only at the production on that ball, but also at the location map. And you're going to see he is struggling. And I think it's a case of being stubborn. I give you one person, Dallas Keuchel, was struggling with the sinker. He abandoned it. Now he's not throwing it, and he kind of took back to where he belongs.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, he's been great, and it's because of that. Brad Keller is still forcing the sinker, and it's going out of the yard. He's just not used to anything different. And I don't know if necessarily he's doing anything different. It might be the ball, but he's been a total gas can. And I mean, the misses are middle. It's really, really bad until he shows us either control of the sinker or abandoning it from the arsenal. You got to get away from Keller. Rodon may be just as interesting in the other way. I mean, it would be very easy to say, reversion coming, Drew, right? He's going to go back. I pulled every thread I could, and I very rarely give like the continuation green light on something like this. Man, it's all systems go. He has been just phenomenal. I can't believe I'm saying this. He reminds me right now of Randy Johnson, and it's a profile thing. It's it's the big lefty, so the fastball is up same hand side, so that's up and away to righties, up and in to lefties, and then you get that stankin' slider. Oh my God, you don't know how anybody could hit this thing. It's just you see the hitter's bowels begin to lock in the batter's box, and then they, evacuate, and then it's over. It's a strikeout. He's been that good. The location map is just out of control. It's very hard to go up against Rodon. It really is.
Yeah.
I can't believe like I'm doing this. That I'm going to back this, and I think they're going to do it for him. I know people are fading them today. I've heard a lot of sharp money on the Royals. Now, if you don't want to pay the juice for the White Sox, I'll give you that. But I wanted to get the Rodon because I think Keller, not say he's washed like he's an old man. I think he has to make a change. And I think Rodon found something, man. There's that 1.5 mile velocity we talked about. There's something to that. And it takes, remember, again, these things don't happen in a vacuum. It's not high fastball good. The fastball and the speed affects the ball flight because of the seam and stuff like that. So all of these things, again, there's butterfly effects and subsequent, effects to all of these changes. And I think Rodon has capitalized. White Sox offense has not been great. They're suffering from a bit of injuries.
Yeah, the center fielder.
I don't think it's really going to matter against the Royals. They've been really bad. And there's another one I had to circle. The bullpen last 23 innings, Drew, the ERA is over 10. More than 3.5 home runs per 9. So we've got a couple bullpens out there that are just, man, they're ablaze. So I want to point people, one, not just the bullpen stats and numbers, but keep that in mind if you're betting 9 innings opposed to 5, because we've had quite a bit of those bets that I've had win after 5 that would have blown up had I bet 9, because some of these bullpens are just terrible. So it's something I wanted to impart on people and how I think, there are a couple just good lessons here. And again, if you don't even play this one because of the juice, I gotcha. That's fine. But I wanted to get to kind of how we're discerning what's real from what's fake and how I'm making these decisions, not high ERA, we're done. Low ERA, I like him. Because that's weird. People are not coming here for low IQ analysis, Drew. I like to think you and I, this is some of the sharpest stuff on the web right now.
Absolutely, man. We're growing this show big time, prime time level here with Odds Checker. So always remember, guys, check out John on Twitter and his podcast as well, host of Court Stats. And John, I thought you brought up some good information, not only for sports bettors to use tonight, Friday night's action, but going forward. Brad Keller, if he's not going to make this change with the sinker, look to fade him. But if we see a change tonight, maybe actually look to bet on him. And one thing I want to bring up, Carlos Rodon, like you talked about, I think one thing that's helping him, and if you look at him and Dallas Keuchel, they're on the same staff, John, they throw very similar now. I actually think he learned something from Dallas Keuchel. And then you add on the fact he's 95 plus miles per hour coming from the left side. And then it's like, oh man, now you know why he's an elite pitcher. So I think that he's actually done the things to make himself a better pitcher throughout the offseason this season.
I agree. Man, Drew, I love talking to you, man, because all the great stuff comes up. So again, lots of good stuff to unpack. Number one, I think even the thing that really was not my point of this, but I think maybe the most pertinent that you brought up, there are certain organizations who have a better understanding of ball flight than others. We are now at a point in time, people, whether or not, it's funny, I know some people, I think I don't like X stats. Whether or not you like them, they work. It's truth. It's physics. It's science. And that's what works. So people complaining about the most analytical teams, well, guess what? The two most analytical teams are the Dodgers and the Rays. Let me know who was in the World Series last year with, which is funny, the highest and like the lowest payroll. So analytics works. This is what matters. Certain organizations understand. One of them, I'm going to dig into this, Drew. I'm going to get back to you about the White Sox. I had not picked up on that. That's an excellent point. But I can bring up places we have seen it. So one of them is Cleveland, where everyone they seem to bring up is awesome, right? Doesn't even really matter. And to the change, Tristan McKenzie. Tristan McKenzie was struggling with his fastball movement this year. Remember, I said sinkers, but pitch classification could get you in trouble. A sinker is just a label that we use. It's more to say there are certain ball movements that are affected, right? You can call them whatever you want. So that even if Tristan McKenzie's four-seamer was not being labeled as a sinker, it might have shared enough similar characteristics to suffer that adverse effect. He dumped it. He dumped it down. And man, when you see these Arsenal changes, those are a big deal. They really are, because that's the difference in the point of attack. And man, not only location, speed matters, sequence matters. People sometimes are slow to this. So that stuff is huge. Back to the organizations. One more I wanted to mention. We have one going today. You're going to see it. The San Francisco Giants. The San Francisco Giants, I should have looked up the gentleman's name, who the pitching coach is. But whoever it is, I've called it the San Francisco slide, because they have a San Francisco slider going on. They're bringing in pitchers with bad sliders and turning them into excellent pitchers. Not just good pitchers, excellent pitchers, right? Gaussman being one. How about Tony Disco? Panic at the Disco. This guy's awesome right now. He's awesome.
Descofani,
And it's funny because this is where you can get trouble again with taxonomy, just using labels. What? Slider 35%? Slider 35%. It's not the same pitch. It's a different pitch. It's a different grip. It's a different path. And you see it in the Savant page. You see it's different. And it's mattered. They're taking all of these guys up to the next level. So people, ball change matters. Ball flight matters. I guess we won't go too much into the weeds. Maybe next time we can get to the X stats part. Drew, let's leave a note for next time about the X stats. But I'm glad that at the end of this, every time, we're helping people to build off the understanding, because that is the realness. I'm telling you, people, if you're chasing X-WOBA and you're chasing barrel rates right now, you're going to get in trouble. Things are requiring more nuance than ever, and that's why you're coming to check out me and Drew. That's the truth.
Each and every Friday afternoon, we're posting it here, oddschecker.com. And like John just talked about, San Francisco Giants, first place San Francisco Giants in the NL West. Might have a little correlation there. So always good stuff from John. Check him out. Host of Cork Stats at FTN Bets as well. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. John, anything else you want to throw out before we
I would say if anybody is just picking up what I'm putting down, that podcast I do is an absolute labor of love. I cover every game on every main slate. So I covered 14 games at 115 miles an hour, the only speed I know how to talk. So check it out and support it if you dig it, because I really get into all this stuff, the pitch changes, the movement stuff, all the extra details that are kind of hard to find.
Absolutely, guys. Check that out and check us out. Oddschecker.com. A lot of good MLB content, guys. Check out the odds. Check out a lot of good writing across multiple sports. So for John, I am Drew. Thanks for tuning in.